I will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, February 28th, 2022 to order. We'll first go through the regular business meeting. The invocation, did you hear
Never
from?
heard that.
Christie, do you want to see if Mr. Williams wants to do the invocation?
Okay, sure.
Pledge, anyone? Were we having a?
You have ROTC
ROTC.
doing colors and the pledge today. And they're part of that presentation for a special guest.
Okay.
That's great.
Then we'll have the oath of office for Lori Ann Spears to the Board of Appeals. We've got the minutes. We've got the Williams talking about South Gwinnett. Public hearings. We've got a few things on the agenda here. So the first item is UDO 2201. Any issues with the 37 changes?
I had a couple, but our director of planning and development handled it.
Could I just bring up the fact that in our retreat, we talked about the fact that, you know, we feel like some of the land uses in some of our zoning categories might need to be updated, and this doesn't update those yet. But in the retreat, Jason reminded me today that we talked about forming a task force with some council members and some planning commission members to start looking at that. And I'd like to see us go ahead and start working on a task force. perhaps.
Or we could just do like a joint work session where everybody's there, unless you
That's-
just want a few, that's up to you guys to figure
Yeah.
out, but we can make.
However Barbara wants to do it.
How do y'all feel? Do you want to do a joint work session with them to talk about that? Or would you rather a smaller group try to ferret out most of the issues and then bring it to everybody?
Probably be quicker to have a smaller group.
I think the planning commission would benefit though, the whole,
Oh,
that
that's
should be
true.
a part to just learn, more than anything, and you can feel it out.
It's probably
If you
true.
wanted to just dedicate a few council members, or if you wanna just do it all together, I mean, they need the experience, all of them pretty much.
Okay. Well, then maybe we put that on. How much time do you think we would need to go through that?
How much do you want? I mean, we can talk about zoning all night, or we can get the review, I mean, a couple hours max, I mean, you can hit the highlights in, an hour, if you really just wanna present it, and then let everybody come back and decide, and you could work on
A
that.
couple of
through the
meetings,
process.
couple of 2-hour meetings.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends on how comprehensive you wanna look at that use table.
Okay. All right, well, let's figure that out and maybe throw out some dates and see who all wants to participate.
I'll look at it.
Okay.
Because we have the parliamentarian coming, we don't have a regular meeting next month for the PC, which would have been good, but you do have the parliamentarian meeting, and if you wanted to double up that week, then no, okay.
Well, since they don't have anything on an agenda, maybe we could meet that
Yeah,
night.
The night is their
Of
normal.
their normal
Because
meeting?
then with that Thursday, we'll have a long meeting too.
Oh.
So I don't know about, back to back pretty much for them, I don't know.
Because we've got the parliamentarian, we've got Dennis Conway.
Yeah,
coming.
that's-
Why don't we reach out to the planning commission and see what their
Let me see.
availability is?
Yeah, because Kissel can never make it unless it's like 50 months out, but everybody else, and we got a new member we're gonna have to, and, so it'll help everybody, I think, here.
Okay. And then we have second reading for CP 2201. For the land use categories.
Yeah, just really the one, allows for R5, a smaller lot, in the future land use map, under low density, if it is in fact low density and under 4 units per acre, because what we're finding is, was only allowed in medium density, so it had to be more than 4 units per acre, so it wasn't a lot of, there's still not a lot of places for it to go, but it allows it to function as a low density, residential by definition.
Sneaking in. To bring my quiet shoes next time.
Well, that's, I wasn't sure what I should. If we can go back to the UDO, the first item, I had brought up a question, on item number 36, electronic message boards. Where the change in that item is to reduce the time that electronic message board sign message must remain. Right now, we have it that the message boards are there for 15 minutes. They can't
I
change.
suppose 15 seconds.
15 minutes
15
now.
minutes.
but the
15
change-
Oh, wow.
minutes for a mess, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the change is to reduce it to 10 seconds because that's in our agreement with Clear Channel
Oh,
for the
Every 10
billboards.
seconds.
My question was, can't we do something to agree for the billboards, but on the road signs, you know, the storefront signs, keep that at a longer period? We could bring it down from 15 minutes
yeah,
to maybe 1 minute or something, but to where they're not
flashing all the time.
changing. Now,
Most of the signage is on a street that at minimum has a speed limit of 35. And so people are probably going 45. 10 seconds isn't, unless you're stopped at a light, you probably won't even notice a change.
This is true.
So.
And Jason brought up that it still doesn't mean, you know, we don't allow animation and the, you know, and the, you know, spin sign and all that other stuff. So
Because
you're still not gonna have
I
that.
really dug into that one because we've had some issues
Mhm.
Mhm.
and,
I
you
think
know,
on 45 miles an hour is like an average, even 6 seconds, you won't see it. Maybe
Yeah.
move it.
I mean, you may notice that it changed, but
And I think from the planning department's perspective, since it's electronic, they'd rather see everything electronic have the same rule
Yeah.
versus trying to carve out some things, so. Just wanted to get let y'all know that right now, the way this is, it's gonna bring them all down to 10 seconds. And so, I guess if we're good with that.
well, if you want to make it slightly longer, I don't have a problem with it. I just, in looking at it, I didn't think it, when we had issues with existing signs, they were changing every 2 to
Absolutely.
3 seconds and they had movement, and that was very distracting. But if it's one change,
Just the whole thing.
Yeah.
10 seconds with no flashes.
10
Well,
seconds, no
but-
flash.
Okay, I'll give it
but
Hey, if it becomes a problem, you know,
No
always
fade
change
away.
it in-house.
it doesn't matter how long you make it. Someone's gonna drive by and see it change, and that will be a distraction, so. If you allow it changes, you might, as long as while you're proceeding down the road, you're not seeing it change multiple times, you're probably.
Like the schools changes pretty fast.
Yes.
They're not under that purview that they're.
Right.
Yeah.
And our sign's malfunctioning too, somebody hit it.
Uh-oh. Probably got it on camera.
Well, we thought that, but there doesn't seem to be any record.
We're going
So,
past.
Probably a bus.
Yeah, I was thinking that
It's a
too.
bus.
Might be a bus.
Do you,
Mm.
bus hit it? From the school, inside the school?
No, it's actually on the street
It's on the
side.
state side, yeah.
Mhm.
Because they have to go through a fence, don't they?
Must have had to work that
No.
one back on the road.
Yep.
One eye.
And they couldn't be
Okay.
driven off.
Another place to go to fly.
All right, so then the next
Really?
item we have, is the second reading for SUP 2201, which is the DeVita Dialysis Center. They have asked for an extension to March 28th. So the motion on this would be a motion to table until March 28th. Anyone wants to make that motion? Then we have second reading RZ 2201, which is the North Road rezoning. Anyone have questions or discussion for the work session?
One of the issues that we continued to have was the look of the structure. I wanted to run by Chuck if it would be okay if we just put a condition that before construction is finalized, the architectural has to be approved by Director of Planning and Zoning.
Yeah, that's all
Well, that happens anyway.
Yeah,
But they-
yeah,
they-
that
but
happens.
They
Well-
agree, the applicants also agreed that that's to let them know it's gonna have a little further scrutiny,
But-
whether it's non-official, but the council
Is-
will look at it again.
As Jay and I were deposed, Jay, I was with him, but he was deposing a certain mayor today. I think it would be good to have, if you want that to be a condition, make that a specific condition that goes in there, because it could come back and haunt you one day.
Right,
So-
and I didn't want it to have to come back to mayor and council because it slows the process
So,
down.
yeah, just make sure that's a condition in there, if that's what you want.
Number 7. Condition 7.
So you'll just need, so it's not a condition right now, correct?
It is not a
Right.
condition, so
So
we
whoever
want to
makes
add
that
it.
motion, you'll just need to, say that you wanted to take it with staff approved conditions with the addition of
addition
number
of-
7.
And make sure it gets in the sign ordinance.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
That could be,
Got a couple zoning lawyers here, so
What about the sign ordinance?
Okay, and then we have item E, the second reading on SUP 2203, which is the potential Avid Brand Hotel on Highway 78. Any questions or issues on this one you want to discuss in the work session? Okay. We have nothing on consent or old business. Under new business, we have, the approval of the budget amendment that we postponed from the last meeting. Item B is the approval of design services for the park maintenance facility. We don't have the actual,
yeah, do we get paperwork on that?
we don't have the actual contract yet.
Okay.
But we
So
have
the
the
motion
bids.
would be to authorize the mayor to sign once the contract.
Okay,
Approve the vendor and the amount.
So this is the one that's Croft at 141.7. Any questions on that one?
Nope, glad to get that started.
Yeah. Then we have, the sidewalk survey and design proposal from Collaborative Infrastructure Services. That's the same thing, we don't have the actual design yet. So you're just, authorizing me to sign the contract when we have it,
After legal review.
if you so choose.
So just make sure we put the amount in.
Yeah. And it's Collaborative Infrastructure Services at 105,425. Okay, and then the last thing, which is on our work session agenda as well, is Resolution 2022-02, which is opposing House Bill 1093, which we had heard the House bill was dead. That the Senate bill is going to committee this week, I think on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think so.
We got did y'all get the email from GMA to call
Yes.
the committee? So the House bill, or the Senate bill is still out there and alive. So Matt had seen that a couple other cities had passed this resolution. So there were a couple of updates.
I had, from what you all have in your packet, I didn't add anything, I removed 3 paragraphs that I was not comfortable with you all signing.
They all started with whereas.
They all start with whereas, that's true.
How do you know that?
I removed the line that said, whereas no city or county in the state of Georgia has taken action to limit the rights of a homeowner to rent out property through a long-term lease agreement. While I hope they haven't, nonetheless, I don't know that we can represent that for sure. I took that paragraph out. I took out the paragraph that says homeownership is a financial asset that historically has been affordable to all economic levels. And I think that is
Yeah,
a questionable statement that we don't want to be making.
right.
And I took out the paragraph that says, whereas rising costs in construction, land, and materials are pushing the reality of homeownership further from the reach of more and more Americans, particularly young families. I didn't think any of those were necessarily appropriate for you all to do a resolution. I did leave in all the meat, which is, you all have a responsibility as representatives to protect the communities and to help develop the communities the way that you all believe best. So those are the only three things I removed.
Thanks for looking out for us.
And if anyone hasn't already, I would advise you to contact all of the committee members individually. I've sent them all emails, both the House and the Senate. I think the more the merrier. If you want their addresses, go to Georgia News Daily, and all the email addresses are in the article.
Okay.
If you all got the email from Charlotte Davis from GMA today, she had all of their emails in there. One of the things I was just told from last week too is you'd have to go look, because it's not in that email, but that it's also a good idea to copy their assistants, if you've got it, but you don't have that time at least. Send the members, but we've got Gloria Butler and Clint Dixon, and Clint is at Gwinnett County, and Gloria represents us, so. Good to let them know. And then we'll have just our reports.
Okay.
No executive session tonight.
Can we backtrack just, do we have dollar amounts on BNC? Or not?
What?
Under new business BNC, do we have dollar amounts?
BNC.
Yes.
Yes.
We do?
Mhm.
Where would I find those?
It was in your packet, but I'll give it to you.
There were. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. No, sir, got it,
Croft,
got it.
the first one for the park
Okay.
maintenance.
I apparently bunched them all together in the wrong order.
Yeah, I think those two were both just single sheets too.
Okay, wrong order,
If they didn't have all the contracts. and
so
everything.
sorry. I wasn't prepared for class.
You need a sticky note for division?
I do need a sticky note, but I have some.
In her suitcase.
These will be in pink.
Look, I have a little handy office.
Oh, I
that's
have those
How do they
too. Okay,
I just stick them, I stick them out.
So who was giving those away, Barbara?
This was from National Healthcare Review, Inc. There's my paper. Let me a little- Okay, that's the regular business meeting. Correspondence, we need, has everyone responded for the Gwinnett Prom, April
I
22nd?
was still up in the air. I talked to my daughter and she said, yeah, I'm 23, you can go to the prom and not
It's-
babysit me on my birthday.
our date is the 22nd?
No,
Or
it's
is it
19th,
What?
or it's,
April?
No, I think it's April 22nd.
it's, yeah,
Or
I'm
is it the
sorry.
29th?
It's the 22nd.
22nd.
Not the
Okay.
29th.
You
Okay.
got my response, right, Melissa? Dave's gonna be my date.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And I have
Wait,
not
who's gonna be
responded
my
yet, but I
date?
will this week.
Put you down as a
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 22nd. Okay, doesn't matter, I could go either way.
That's Earth Day.
It is.
Mhm. It's Carrie Ann's birthday. That's why.
So you'll have to bring your electric car.
Really? Really?
So Chuck's gonna pick us
Chuck will
up
drive
and
us.
Chuck will drive everybody.
Yeah.
We'll just carpool.
with his 1,000-pound battery.
Any other correspondence? City attorney's report?
Yes, we have one matter, actually two matters, so, we have a couple properties that, Officer Green has just had a lot of difficulty in getting any response from. One of them is American Homes for Rent. What a surprise.
Which
Yeah.
surprisingly is one of the people lobbying for us not to have any control.
Oh,
Great.
So Jay has been working for the last 2 or 3 weeks, trying to get through to somebody and gets nothing but voicemails. So I'm asking Melissa to go ahead and put those on the agenda, so if I forget, that way we know they're on there. But we're gonna put those on the agenda for the next meeting, so it'll be published. We'll make sure that she has the addresses for the property. But we'll be asking you all to approve us to go forward as nuisance actions, to file in court. So hopefully that'll get their attention, because they're just not responding to us otherwise.
Can we tie in the citation of those two in the nuisance action to clear the?
Well, we'll just raise all the issues of the violations, so all those other actions.
I just want to make sure that money's
my post-its are okay now.
We won't be able to collect a fine from them, but we'll be able to, assess
the amount?
No, we can't put the fines into the amount, but we can, make them abate the nuisance, or we can abate it for them if they won't abate it, and then be charged for that cost. And then we'll get the cost, we guess the cost of our fees, to do that, the cost to do
What
it.
kind of nuisances are we talking about?
I asked Johnny, what they were, and he said grass, weeds, tree debris, and trash.
Just, they're not, just let them.
Okay.
Our other actions, we've had great responses from the 2468 Mountain View, other than the fact that unfortunately the ashes of all of the previous occupants may be gone. That's been sold.
Wow.
No.
Mr. Show has also moved. He moved back down to Kingsland, so he's been able to sell his property. I'm still trying to help him get a little bit of money for all the ant abatement that he had to pay out of pocket for, but legally, there's no basis without him filing an action, but I'm trying to work through helping him out. And then the Grand Central property as well, they have been very responsive at getting that cleaned up. They've been communicating with Johnny, so.
Finally got in touch with him?
Yeah. Oh, you got from New York hired? Actually, it's kind of bizarre that he hired a project manager whose name is exactly the same as my wife's. And so I have an email will pop up with my wife's name on it. Totally freaks me out every time I get one. But they've been very responsive actually, and they've been working with Johnny on that as well. So both of our 2 pending nuisance actions are cooking along, and we did file a lien on the Simpson property to get our $30,000 for tearing it down. So those are all in good order, as Tony would say.
They've all been done well.
Yeah.
Historically, they've gotten the results. These haven't been paid off on all of them yet.
So that's all I have.
Okay. Ongoing projects?
Start with the town center. We've had good conversations between TSW and Ramon's architect. They're moving on the 2nd floor redesign. Chuck, I don't know if you've heard anything back from him on his lease.
That is in my court on that one.
Okay.
So that's in my court, I'm still working on that. We did get approval through the DDA today on the market lease with Jamal.
Okay, good,
So,
good.
Awesome.
See, the deck is moving forward. Should be done right around the 1st of May. Business center, as I said, we are providing information to Reinhardt and Raj that they need to look at the market for the incubator, and I think they're working on that. The market design is ongoing. We should have, hopefully we'll have some building specs to bid probably within the next month. The pavilion, I hope Michael is ready for an update in a couple of weeks. He's working with all his fabricators and the roofing folks, and the last time we talked to him, it was very positive. The mosaic bench artist is working on our 3 mock-ups to choose from. Should have those probably in a couple of weeks. Everything's on a normal schedule. When the weather's good, they make a little extra progress. The rain held them up a little bit at the end of last week. I'm putting together a lot of financial information for you guys. Just wanted to give you a little update on a couple of things here. The Grove site work and cost overview, we're probably, I think if it's the 28th, we probably will close sometime after the DDA meeting of the 16th, hopefully on the 18th, we'll close on the market parcel. And the purchase price will be $276,224.30. Our total site work share came to a little over 1.1 million. If you remember in the MDA, we put a cap of 1.9 million. So everybody kept a good handle on the site work there. Stormwater installation in the Grove in phase 1 was about $319,000. A few extra items that we have finally nailed down and we're putting into the budget, which you'll probably have by the end of the week. 3 restrooms by Fortune Johnson, about $86,000. Those are the ones that will be over there by the parking deck elevator tower. Route design, their landscape architecture fee is $148,000. Their pavilion design fee is $60,000, and that's 10% of what we budgeted for the pavilion, as well as the our part of the Grove. Our part of the Grove, Hodges and Hicks has all of the specs. They've been dealing with Smallwood, they've been dealing with route design, Michael, and that pricing hopefully will be maybe not this week, probably next week. So we'll plug that into the budget. Parking deck entrances, these are the 2 entrances that the apartment owners will utilize. They're going to be finalized by Fortune Johnson, and that's $45,000. So we're drilling down to where the numbers are. We'll close on the market. We already know what the number is on phase 2, the dollars that will be coming back to us in that sale. Everything, it should close shortly after the market closes. We've got a survey, we've got every good easements there, so everything is moving towards those 2 closings. Then we can finalize, have a final plat approved for phase 1.
So the parking deck entrances, is that Wisteria in the north?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. The parking deck drawdowns, this is what we have spent so far, and these are the sources that we've used. If you remember, we budgeted about $6.6 million out of SPLOST for the parking deck. We spent a little bit over. 2021B is the is the non-taxable bonds, because we aren't there's no revenue coming from the parking deck. So those are the sources that we've used so far. There's probably 1.350 still left to fund and finish the parking deck. The total cost $12 million. That actually is coming down to somewhere around 11.7. So we're saving a little bit of money there. We chose a good contractor. They've done a very good job, and I hope everybody's happy with their work. They really, they've done well, I think. Let's see, sanitation and recycling. We continue to work with both companies, trying to improve the situation there. Meeting back with Steve Edwards next week. Gay Johnson had a little bit of a health setback this weekend. She developed diverticulitis. She's was in the hospital Sunday and yesterday. She's over at her home and over at her daughter's house now. She goes back to the doctor on Wednesday, so I'm hoping that she gets a good report on that.
You're good.
So she's had and I don't want to blame Steve Edwards on that, but I'll blame his drivers. Sidewalk improvements, engineering recommendations on the agenda tonight. Just know we had them bid apples to apples there. So we know there are sections to add, both on Pinehurst and then the extra work. but we wanted to make sure that they were bidding on the same items, so, CIS was the low price. Neighborhood beautification and cleanup. I think we had a very good meeting with Clean and Beautiful, Shelley Marlott last week. Barbara, I guess we'll move forward on setting up a committee, the City and Citizen Committee. We have a much better idea of how Clean and Beautiful fits into the overall program, what they can do for us, what we can do with them. So I think we'll have some good answers for people and some good ideas about how we can proceed when we do get together.
Yeah, and I think in that meeting too, we had some really good sharing. Johnny Green was there with Shelley and Jason. And, so we were able to kind of pull together resources and, you know, cause Johnny runs into things. We're gonna get a list. We're gonna get Brian to, welcome back. We're gonna get Brian to put together some just little like push card handouts for Johnny to be able to give to people with resources on landfills and where to take tires and where to take hazardous and stuff like that, and when, and share information better with Clean and Beautiful, because they do, like twice a year, they do tire roundups at Coolray Field, and just making sure we're advertising that. So I think we can improve communication and work on a marketing campaign and all of that, so that we're putting all that information out for people. Is there anyone from council? I'd like to keep it to no more than 3 that would like to be a member of that task force. Well, you can when I'm not. I want to be there at least at the beginning to lay out the roles and responsibilities.
I
and what we're
can
doing.
defer to the Mayor Pro Tem if he really wants to be there.
We could advertise that, well, I don't know if I want to.
No.
And then we'll work on the community members that will want to be there.
So how will you get them? What will you do to?
The people,
Can you make-
well, I'm planning to start with the ones that have been part of the cleanup, the community cleanups, so that we can, that'll give us a good basis. I also was gonna pull in the woman that had emailed us with the plan for recognition and all of that. So if you know of anybody that's, you know, interested in working on that committee, just let me know. I don't wanna get it so large, but we could start with a little bit bigger group to begin with, because you figure not everybody will commit, or we might get a few that commit and aren't able to attend.
Yeah, Debbie Heath has been pretty active in.
Yeah, Debbie and Donna Swetzel
Yeah.
and,
And the good thing is, I mean, Shelley is familiar with those folks.
yeah.
Right.
She has talked to
She's
them
talked
and
with
worked
them.
with them, so, I think we'll have a good head start.
Yeah, I think it'll be good, and that way we can, with those groups, we can let them know how we can and will support them, and how we won't. You know, that we don't condone them going on private property and cleaning up and expecting taxpayers to fund private property owners' trash removal. So it's, you know, those kinds
Well,
of
they
things that we can
don't
talk about.
understand that is a short-term solution that thwarts the long-term solution, because then why bother? Somebody come by and pick it up, so I don't have to miss it.
And, you know, Johnny mentioned too, a lot of times when we see things being posted out on Facebook, he's already got a case on it.
Yeah,
Right.
he does. He's,
So he said when that trash got dumped at Belk's, he already had a case, he already had a name, you know, he was already going after people, and, so there's, you know, several of those things that he was already on before it even.
yeah, he does an impressive job.
Yeah.
And I have tried to explain to some folks that by going and cleaning that up, they ruin the case that
Right.
we.
Well, and so one of the other things, we don't need to get too far in the weeds here, but one of the things that, we're gonna do is put an article in the Spirit explaining the code enforcement process. Because a lot of citizens, they make a call or they do a report and then they don't see anything happen. And it's just they don't understand that while there may have been a code enforcement officer that you didn't see go knock on the door and make contact or leave a notice, and that they came to an agreement that they'd have 7 days or 14 days depending on what was going on. You know, those kinds of things that, you know, and then Johnny said too, a lot of people will make the report and they don't leave a contact information because they're doing it anonymously,
Right.
but then he can't get back to them either to tell them what he's doing.
Would it be possible to give Johnny and Wayne some little orange signs that say official code enforcement action of the city of Snellville has begun, and a stake and put it in the ground? And,
Well, I don't know that you want to embarrass people like that.
oh, yeah, you wouldn't want to embarrass people who have garbage all over.
Well,
Maybe the 80-year-old lady that can't cut her
Well,
grass.
no,
Yeah.
but particularly the commercial properties.
The rental,
lot of,
those two rentals.
You
Well,
know, they,
you can't pick and choose if you're gonna do the
Yeah.
orange
well,
signs, you gotta either
you
do it
can
or
do
not.
it for commercial and not residential though, because, okay,
It's almost adding more trash to the landscape.
Yeah.
well,
because that song wouldn't stay up there very long.
yeah.
Okay.
And you
All
have
right.
school,
All right, sorry.
high school kids collecting them,
digress.
putting them in all your yard.
You're back on.
Sorry, Butch.
I've been working with Craig and Gay to come up with good stormwater and resurfacing numbers for our ARPA budget. You'll have a proposal to change, do whatever you want to at the end of this week. Jan's working on putting that extra department into our Encode system. So it'll show up in in our budget, as will Grove expenses for next, that's one thing I wanted to mention, Grove expenses for next year. Our funding of the DDA properties will begin when all of the property is completed, all the COs are done. And David Brunner, who's with Midcast, he's helping us verify a lot of those numbers. So I think they'll be pretty accurate. I do not propose to use any ARPA funds for that. Briscoe Park Progress engineer recommendation is on the agenda tonight. I think everybody will be happy with Croft. They were very aggressive in their bid. They've done a lot of work for the city of Lawrenceville as well as other Gwinnett County cities, and I think they'll do a very good job.
What kind of time frame will it be before they have?
Matt, what did Oscar say? Did he?
Said about 9 weeks after we give them a notice to proceed, they'll have the construction drawings ready to go. They'll have a schematic design and some other things done within a few weeks after we sign the contract.
Just wondering how much longer we have to
Yeah.
make sure that roof lasts.
Well, yeah, well, zoning category review, you guys discussed that tonight with the joint meeting with the PC and moving ahead there. Package sales referendum, first thing I'd like to do is welcome Brian Arrington back to the fold after a couple of tough weeks. So,
Thank you.
He was on a trip.
It took place.
Took a little trip down the steps.
we don't want to hear any Scarface jokes or
It
anything.
was a staycation trip for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was Brian, wasn't
So, he's already begun working, and should have something on the website hopefully this week for a couple of the poll questions on ARPA uses as well as, the number of licenses for package stores.
Okay, may I just, with the ARPA funds, at the work retreat, we decided that we're gonna involve the citizens as well. Are we
And
still
that's-
doing that?
That will be one of the, there'll be two questions on there. One will be about the licenses, package stores. The other will be, there'll be categories, and I think we'll have about 6 categories. They'll be able to choose 2
Okay.
preferred uses for ARPA funds, and we should get some good input back there.
We're gonna be using, Survey Monkey, so when I get that done, I'll put that on the web, put it on Facebook, and then I'll send it to everybody. You can disseminate it how you'd like
I
to.
thought we were gonna
But they need
ask,
to have a
do they
say.
want package stores And if so,
And
That's what I
Is
the
that-
referendum,
yeah.
the referendum will tell us whether they want a package
okay,
store.
okay.
The question really needs to be, and make sure you run the questions by everybody before you post them. The question needs to be, if package stores get approved by referendum,
Okay, how
how
many?
many would you want?
Okay.
And we have choices
We're gonna try to make it as neutral as
too.
possible.
One or two.
It's difficult with these questions, the methodology, you don't wanna lead people into, you
Right.
know, one
You don't wanna make
answer.
it too complicated.
Yeah.
One is
Right,
the
and we
answer,
don't-
let's not leave it.
We don't want to lead people thinking that they're voting for whether we get one or not,
Right.
Right,
you know, because that's what the referendum.
that's right, okay, I'm sorry.
But we just took it for granted there will be a referendum, to Melissa's dismay.
Just
Um,
a teacher
In economic
suggestion.
development activities,
You have
you
to
know, we
speak
just,
loud, Butch.
Matt and I are talking and we're working,
Oh, just, if you could not use the word referendum and say the people's vote,
Right.
because many people won't understand what
What
exactly that
referendum
means.
Good idea.
Make the language a little easier.
As
We can
basic
use
as
plain
possible.
language.
Yeah, plain.
If y'all want them, how many y'all want?
Oh, Dave.
it will be.
Brian will write it
That's
without
simple
the
enough.
accent.
A little more region neutral.
It'll sound more Midwestern.
So, and Matt is doing a great job getting the DDA online, under control, and, we'll be able to start working on, some of these, an updated plan for economic development.
Matt isn't doing a good job, he's doing a very good job.
Yeah.
Really is.
That's for sure.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, that's all of that. Then we have, discussion of the Gwinnett County zoning request. Who wants to talk about that?
Well, we
Gretchen.
got that, letter from that, or that email from that woman in Newton's Crest. And I just thought maybe we'd want to discuss whether it was something as a council we wanted
What
to
can we do?
express.
Well, we
Go to the
received
meeting.
I received two emails, one from the
Yeah, I
first
did
lady and
too.
then one from the head of the
HOA.
homeowners association.
Do we have dates as to when that's coming up from the planning commission for the county?
I haven't,
I couldn't find it on the agenda.
No.
I saw the packet information that they sent, I didn't get any emails on that one from the county.
How far is it from Newton's Crest?
It's just the next light.
Yeah, it
So,
seems
I
like
mean,
it's
it's
Oh,
less
down
than a
there.
mile,
Yeah,
but not more than half a mile. I think.
there's a subdivision between the two and a creek that
Okay,
runs,
okay.
that separates them, so it's,
Well, I just don't want them to think we aren't paying attention to their requests. I don't know.
I mean, if it's zoned R100 already, and it's not on the comp plan, then they're not gonna flip it. It's not just the stuff that the commissioners, well, not these guys, from what I can see. But if it's on a hot corner, you know, it's on a commercial corner, and that's not, a lot of the concerns I saw weren't really, I mean, they were concerns, but they weren't necessarily stuff that, you're not, your water table isn't gonna get ruined. I mean, they're highly regulated. The crime is one thing, and that is kind of, but the one they compared it to across the street is old, dilapidated, so
Yeah.
you're looking at a simple use. I don't think the use is awful. I mean, I understand where the stigmas are, but, I don't know that we would want the county butting in on us. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
they should really, these commissioners seem like they're pretty open to input, so, that's how we would look at it. What does the map say? What does the zoning say? And then we would regulate gas stations based on the way our convenience stores, but is the state who makes it. And they control most of that, even with the food, that's the ag department. So there's a lot of state jurisdictions that run those outside of just the land use question, which should be in the comp plan and on the future.
Well,
land
probably the
use
best
plan.
thing is just to continue to tell them to,
Call the
I'd be
commissioners.
yeah, contact the commissioners and the
Contact
county
them.
planning
Maybe make
commission.
some of those, if they can't get through, maybe you could help usher some of those connections with people, and that's Jasper's. isn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And he seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and it's a weird shaped lot, it directly abuts residential. There's not enough buffer. I don't think there's a chance that it would ever pass.
If you look at the application too, it's like some, and it's not an attorney that put it together. It has very, it doesn't, it looks like somebody just filled it out in a half hour and turned it in. So a lot of times it's-
Yeah,
Okay.
but I wouldn't want it, if I was living in one of those houses.
And they have an adult entertainment.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
is what
that's down
gets me.
there.
And next to a residential, I mean.
Well, that's been like 30, I think it's been over like 25 years. It's been there a
Yeah,
long
that-
time. They got the grill right out front.
Right.
Not very
Yeah.
inviting. but
Todd,
you can't
do you
get a
have
lot
that
of
email
stuff
handy?
from that
Do
shop.
you have that email with the application?
I know I have it.
It didn't have an application.
I got an application.
No,
Okay, I said, if you send it to me, I can calculate when it will be heard based on when assuming there's a table, based on when the application is filed.
Yeah, I'll send it, just remind me, I'll send it. Because somebody sent it to me, and I think it was the second person, not the first person, the second person, the HOA president.
I thought I sent it to you, but.
So we don't
No, it
wanna
was
do
you.
anything
It
from
was
the city,
Todd.
but if
Okay.
y'all wanna talk to any of the planning commissioners, or Mr. Watkins, or Commissioner Watkins,
Couldn't hurt.
yeah, just a conversation. Cause it would be kinda nice on 124 if they kept it a little more residential down to get to that heavier commercial node down at Bethany Church.
And historically, that's the way it's kind of been, except for a couple spots.
Yeah, just a couple of things.
Yeah, I don't market that support much. Big commercial in between, if there are any others out.
Yeah,
Not enough people.
it'd just be nice if they kinda were thinking about
You said it's
that.
currently zoned residential?
Yes, R100.
R100?
Yeah, that's what I remember. It was definitely
Yeah,
an R something.
I'm sorry,
which
yeah,
is
it's R100.
And that's a pretty, that's the biggest lot, yeah.
It's weird because half of it's on one side of the street, half is on the other side. It's, I'd say, half an acre on one side, but there's a lot of road right of way, which the county may give up, but probably not if it's opposed. And then the same owner has property on the other side, but you can't split a gas station in two. But it is zoned R100 and has for
This is the
forever.
one you're wanting to rezone to C1?
Yeah.
Okay, I found it.
All right, and then our last item was the House Bill 1093 in the Senate bill, which we've already talked
Got that
about.
taken care of.
And we have no executive session, so we can take a motion to adjourn. There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
What? Give it to Christie.
All in favor? Okay, work session's adjourned.
Okay.